the biggest difference between amateur and pros are for you?
Right now, I just feel maybe the professional game, I just have to sit down on my punches a little more, take my time. Amateurs, it's a sprint and not a marathon.
Yep.
So my first fight out, it'll be a 6-rounder. So I'm able to go to work a little bit more.
I saw you with Clarissa Shields in Vegas. Who do you count among the Olympians as your mentors, and how important is it to have those voices in your ear?
Yeah, Clarissa Shields, she definitely showed a lot of love at the Olympics, talking with me, texting me, and she actually wrote a foreword in my new book, The Journey of an Olympian. So she definitely been around. Mentor me, help me out. What's good, Eddie?
Hey, man. You're right, man.
Eddie, what was it that made you want to sign Omari? Not just sign him coming out of the Olympics, but build him in a debut in his hometown and kind of immediately put those resources
Yeah, I
towards
think
him?
that's always a natural move. Like in the UK, when there's a big star or an Olympian that medals, you always take him to the hometown. I mean, March 28th, we've got Pat Brown, who didn't medal, but is a very good Olympian GB fighter. He's debuting in his hometown. It's not rocket science. It's just something you should always do, which is build the fighter in their hometown as you build him into a state star and then a national star in America. So, you know, I was in Paris and I watched him and I just, straight away, I watched his first fight on TV and I was like, wow, this kid can serious fight. And then I saw him and, I slid into his DMs. And the next thing, we're having a cup of coffee with him and his mum and dad in Paris, who are great people as well. And he just impressed me so much as an individual. Reminds me a lot of Anthony Joshua in his approach, and his mindset and the ability to want to learn and educate himself about the game. And I made the classic thing that I always say, which is, hey, go and talk to everybody, and then we'll talk. And then he did, and it took a long time. Like, he went out and he really took his time. I mean, he flirted with me bad. He was a real tease. We keep turning up, we'd have a meeting, and every time I was around him, I was like, this kid's got something about him. Like, he's a star. His fighting ability is unquestioned, but as a role model, as an ambassador for sport, the way he looks, the way he carries himself, I really believe there's no one coming through like him at the moment. And Caribe Royale, it's been a good spot for us. Ammo will fight there in a good fight. But it allowed us to take him there. And when was the last time there's been a major fight or a star from Orlando? I mean, was it Tarver probably
yeah.
back then? I mean, it's very unusual.
Derek Gaynor? No, I'm just
Yeah. So we think we've got a great opportunity, and we think we've got America's next superstar in Omari.
Will you mind? Okay. Go ahead. Just because you mentioned the fighting ability, like you mentioned what stuck out to him charisma-wise, but what was it about how he fights or his talent that makes you think he could go really far?
Skill set, like composure. You do have to adapt. Like, if you look at Andy Cruz, for example, he was like one of the greatest amateurs of all time. I think he's fighting very differently in the pros.
Yeah.
I mean, he just won by stoppage last time. He's got a couple of stoppage. I think he's punching harder than anticipated. Omari's a big guy. I mean, he's talking about, maybe even looking at 147 pounds. I think 154 might be more realistic, but
he's almost as tall as you.
Yeah, I know, but we'll gauge that over time. There's no rush on that. We'll start, around 150, 151, 52, and then see what weight class he's going to be in. Already, his opponent will be announced probably next week. He's a guy who I think he's had 20 fights, 15 wins, something like that. Going into a debut is really impressive. And I think a lot of these guys, you don't want to box them beneath their level. They've fought outstanding fighters, for a long time. And the last thing you want to do is fight like some scrappy guy who's running off the back foot. And, look at Nishan, he's a good example. He knows, he's in a decent fight tomorrow. It's his debut. Normally you just give them, Zach Quinn, the same kind of thing. They're really good fighters, seasoned pros. So when you make an investment in a fighter, you need to know you're getting 110% from the individual. And I know he ain't out partying, he ain't out drinking, he's working on his craft day in, day out. And that's important when you're putting your money up.
Omari, you just heard him say that he reminds you of Anthony Joshua. Did he say that when he was flirting with you in his DM? And if this is the first time, what do you think of him saying that in comparison?
I definitely see what Eddie could be talking about there, how Anthony Joshua carries himself, and I feel like he's the people's champ. Everybody in the UK loves him. probably get crop. You know, a lot of people just coming up to him, taking pictures, and that's the same way with me in my hometown. Everywhere I go, it's like people, you know, love me. So that's why my fight for this fight in Orlando is called The Hero's Return, because after I traveled so many years around the world, I want to come back and put on for my city.
Omari, how many people are hitting you up for tickets?
Yeah, they ready right now. Eddie just gave me the word and said tickets will be available soon. So my DMs is flooded, calls about when this ticket's going to be released. So
That's really important as well. Like, you know, I said to him, when you come out, don't forget that's going to be broadcast around the world. You need the fans to go, wow, look at this kid. Like, he is a hero. I mean, the hero returns to strap, and that's what it's got to be. You know, you got to build. It's amazing how few fighters have been built in their hometown before they grow their profile, and that's what, like, if you can bring big fights to Orlando and Florida, it's not something that you see that much.
Eddie, so I asked Omari a little while ago, you know, he had choices. He was courted, like you said, by a lot of promotional companies, Top Rank being somebody who was heavily after him. Bob Arum, all this history, why Eddie Hearn? And I asked him, I said, is it important to you to have a promoter who is on social media, who's, you know, building your perception, who's out there, you know, face first? And he said, yeah. And I just wanted to ask you, how important is that for you? You know, like, how in tune, obviously you're in tune, but when you think about it and you see other promoters, are you ever shocked, like, hey, why are more promoters out online and, you know, talking on the
Probably an age thing as well. Like, if you look at it, you know, who are the promoters? So Bobby's 93, right? He's a legend. I mean, he knows more about boxing than I might ever know. Yeah, but he's not going to be out there standing in front of you guys for 3 or 4 hours, you know, building, you know, the online plan, going out, you know. Al Heyman, that's not his thing, right? Oscar, he's done everything. He's a legend of the sport. He's a pound for pound great. So, you know, it's different. This is my job. But I said to Omari, you know, we sat down, I said, listen, I'll be honest with you, I said, you've got 3 choices. It's us, PBC, or Top Rank. I said, and I think, you know, in the current environment, I think it's between us and Top Rank. And if you go with Top Rank, I said this, didn't I? I said, it's not a bad decision. You know, so if you do that, I think they're going to do a good job for you. I said, but I'm just telling you, we're hands-on. We've got a global schedule. We've got solid TV contracts, and we ain't going anywhere. And I've got enough engine to tell you I'm going to be around for your whole career. And that's you know, activity is very, very important for these young fighters, because I want him to fight a minimum of 6 times, maybe 8 times in a year, you know, and just go around, fight all around the world. He's done that as an amateur, but all we're doing now, we're making this investment to build him into a world champion and a superstar of the sport. And I said to him, you know, I said, all this money that you're getting and this big contract you're getting, stuff like that, don't forget, I'm putting the money up. And we're not making a penny out of you until you become a world champion and a star. So that's our investment to you. And he's built the opportunity to get that kind of deal because of his amateur pedigree and because of the Olympics. But fighters also have to understand, we're making the investment. You know, it's not just every time he fights, it's bringing the opponent over, bringing all their teams over. You know, no one's going to want to fight him. He's putting the team in place to build his profile. And it's an expensive operation. So you've got to spend your money wisely. And I believe we've spent our money perfectly on this young man. He's got a good deal, but more importantly, he's got a straightforward path that the only thing will stop him is work ethic, which is not in question at all, and ability. And he's got that in bundles.
My apologies, folks. We just got the word we have to wrap because we're going to start the show.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all very